Are there aspects to your day that you feel as if you're just, checking the box? Do you ever strive to reach out of your comfort zone, become uncomfortable, and level up? Privileged to be your host, this is Jason Wabick. Now, let's uncheck the box. A fabulous day to everybody out there. Once again, my name is Jason, host of the Uncheck the Box podcast, where today we are rounding third base on our little mini-series about routines, establishing good habits and structure and framework to our day. We talked about our morning, we talked about our afternoon, and lastly, we are going to wind down our fabulous day today. Evening routines, my friends. How important are they? They just might be more important than you might think. Yes, it's a time for relaxation, but there's just a few things to make sure we're cognizant of as we enter into our wind down evening time. So I want to hit up a few points. But what are we preparing for? When we get home from work in a busy day, we're going to start to shut this thing down, right? Our body, our mind. What are we preparing for? We are preparing for sleep. All important sleep, my friends, right? So what is sleep and how important is it? There's three types of stages that we enter into. We first off have our light sleep, which is the most similar to being awake. Okay, we're kind of going in and out, and we catch ourselves. We're watching TV, dozing out, but we're still kind of there, but we're going out. Then we have REM sleep, or rapid eye movement. And here, our minds are asleep, but active. This is where a lot of dreams happen. It's in this REM sleep. And then that third and the most important phase is deep sleep. And this is where our mind goes into regeneration mode. My friends, that's what we're striving for here, is that deep sleep. And if we don't get there, or if we're not there as often as we need to be there, our mind doesn't rejuvenate, and thus making our sleep not as effective. So let's talk about those few points, some things that we can set up ourselves for the best possible sleep that we can have, so we can start our next day in our morning routine the best version of ourselves. So here we go. I was reading an article by health guru and American author. His name is Craig Ballantyne, and he has a method, and I kind of liked it. It was interesting to me. And the amount of hours kind of vary, but it gives us a really good sense of direction. And he calls it the 10-3-2-1-0 formula. So let's look at this. So the 10 hours before bed, stop consuming caffeine. And obviously we know caffeine's a stimulant, and it gets our mind going, right? So we start our day sometimes with a cup of coffee or that energy drink, although I don't recommend those, but I digress. We've got the 3 hours before bed, we stop consuming alcohol. Now, alcohol will make us sleepy, okay? But what happens is our brain is still firing. And the closest to bedtime that we're consuming alcohol, it never really does shut down that brain actively to get inside that deep sleep. That's why a lot of times we go out at night and we're at a party and we come home and we pass out. There's no question we go to sleep. But when we wake up the next morning and we just feel groggy, and we're at about 11 o'clock ready for that midday nap because that brain just does not shut down. So 3 hours before bed, a good practice, stop consuming alcohol. 2 hours before bed, stop working. Very, very, very important. Listen, we worked all day. We stimulated our brain. Our brain was working. We were making decisions. We had obviously added stress into our day. But 2 hours before, my friends, it's time for shutdown. We got to put an end to that work, or else that brain never fully shuts down. Then 1 hour before bed, and this is a tough one, and I'm guilty just like anybody else. And this is something I'm going to actively be working extra hard on. 1 hour before bed, it's time to turn off all the screens. You see, it's the blue light that those screens emit, especially if what we're watching on that screen is something that is, I guess, engaging to our work life, right? We're watching a webinar still, or getting ready for a business meeting, and we're watching things that pertain to that. Not only is that blue light keeping our brains awake mentally, okay, but it's also keeping our brain active. Once again, I say it. It's time for shutdown mode, right? So between the blue light and stimulation to our brain, 1 hour before, start to turn off some of those screens. And then 0 is the last number in the 10-3-2-1-0 formula that Craig puts together. 0 is the number of times that you'll hit the snooze button the next morning. So here we are, my friends. We're starting up for the next day, right? And think about how important that sleep is. So when that alarm goes off the next morning, that you're ready to go. This is something I've worked really hard on, is that morning routine, right? And I must say, you get to a point, I don't know if you're like me, but I don't need an alarm anymore, because it's just my body starts waking up 5:30, 6 o'clock. It gets the right amount of sleep, and I'm ready to go. But it takes time, my friends. It takes time. So what can we focus on during our wind down time? Point. It is time to clear the head. I already mentioned it. So let's dive into this a little bit more specifically, this wind down time, clearing the head. Ladies and gentlemen, it's easy to take your work to bed, and it makes it difficult, extremely difficult to fall asleep if you're mulling over what job-related problems you've got going on. Clearing your head before you fall asleep allows you to put aside the challenges of the day, and you're ready for your mind to shut down. And there's bunch of different ways that we can do this, and I'm not going to get too specific, but let's kind of throw out some examples. According to the American Psychological Association, the most effective stress relief strategies are exercising, playing sports, praying or attending religious services, reading, listening to music. I would say listening to music that promote relaxation. I'm a hard rock kind of guy, but maybe that's not the time for hard rock. That's for my workout the next morning. Spending time with friends or family members. You have the option of meditation and yoga. Spending time with a creative hobby, so doing things that you like to do. Those are all great ways to start clearing that head and winding your day down. Another thing is to do a brain dump into a journal. And this is where you can express gratitude. We talked about gratitude in journaling in the start your day process. But now might be a good time, instead of expressing gratitude, maybe you talk about or you put in there things that you're excited about that you're going to start tackling tomorrow. But what you can really also do is, during this 5-10 minute process, is write down all the things that you've got still running in your head. You don't want to forget them because they're important, but it's time to shut down. So what you're going to do is spend those 5 and 10 moments not only elaborating on what you're excited about tomorrow, but you're also writing all the things down that you've got going around floating around in your head, so you can start addressing them tomorrow after your night of rest. Now forget about it. Once you're done doing that, just forget about it. It can wait till the morning. Close out. It's kind of like this. We have our computer turned on, right? And before we boot it down, we close out all the programs, because we got all these programs running around in the background, right? So it's very similar to that. Before you shut down your computer, you're going to close out the programs. Well, before you shut down your mind for the day, let's just close out our programs. Remember, if you want more sleep, then go to bed a little bit sooner. It's not about hitting the snooze button the next morning to get an extra 5 minutes, 10 minutes in the morning time. Where you get the extra 5 and 10 more minutes is in the evening time, because it's got to be quality, right? And the last thing, my friends, and we kind of addressed this already, but this is how it all comes back full circle. We plan our next day. Don't forget that. That's super important, because we want to wake up that next morning not feeling stressed about what to do. But what are some certain things that we can do? We can prepare our lunch for the next day. We can prepare the coffee maker. I've got one of those that's got a timer, it goes off every morning at 6 o'clock. So I don't have to think about it. Lay out our clothes that we're going to wear, iron it. I must say, it's one thing I learned. I always have ironing my clothes and picking out my clothes as my morning routine. But I said, that's one more decision that I have to make. I'm just going to start doing that the night before. So I'm going to commit that to my evening schedule now, my evening routine. Pick out my clothes, iron it, so I'm ready for the next day. And lastly, wake up at the same time. I shared with you already, 5:30, 6 o'clock-ish is when I wake up, and I'm ready to go. So the evening time, everybody, the evening time is super important. I know it's not going to be a perfect thing every day. Some days we stay up late, and we go to a party, and I get that. This is not necessarily every day, but to be at our best, we keep those things in mind. Clear our head every day, winding down, shutting down our brain, following a similar type of formula is the 10-3-2-1-0 rule, and most importantly, getting an excellent, high-quality night of deep sleep so we can recharge our minds, recharge our bodies, so we are ready to attack our tomorrow. So, my friends, that concludes our 3 weeks of talking routines. How important our morning is to kill our afternoon and our day. And after today, how important it is to wind it down. Please, if you got a couple seconds, leave a review, leave some comments. Appreciate everybody joining me. Next week, same time, same place, we'll continue to uncheck the box. Thank you so much, and let's kill it today, my friends. Have a great day.